Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, Duff Dog and I to see if we can't get a small block Chevy running. Only difference is this one's been sitting for 29 years now. See what we got to deal with. So what we got here is a 74 Chevy Blazer that we pulled from a junkyard, and it's missing some stuff. Valve covers in particular. Oh man, look at that plumbing job there. Whew. All the pipe fitting adapters. Does it turn over? No way. Let's see what happens. No. You're a liar, Nevlin. This thing don't turn over. Maybe I'll go underneath. Is the inspection cover on it? It's got coolant in it? Doesn't even have a radiator cap. It's got a nice, I don't know, spider nest in there. Blue battery cable. Oh, not hooked to anything. Perfect. So I'm guessing that was hooked to the starter, and that's no longer present. What do we got for a carburetor? 2-barrel or 4-barrel? What's your guess? I'm guessing 2-barrel. Oh yeah, the old 2-jet. HEI. Looks like it's even got most of the plug wires not hooked up. Oh look, it was a factory points vehicle. It's got HEI. That's the ballast resistor for the points ignition. Don't need that when you got HEI. Missing the throttle cable. Oh hey, carburetor's loose. Long water pump, power steering, no clutch fan. Fuel pump's there. It's got the factory fuel line. That ain't been all modified. Somebody Ralph Nadered it. Oh, never mind. Ralph Nader's not the emissions guy. Somebody got mad at me for saying that last time. They flushed their system with the old Prestone Flusher-matic. It had AC, but oh, the bracket's there. Compressor's gone. Is there coolant down here? Petcock ain't turning. Wing nuts just spinning. What do you think, Duff? What do you think? What are you doing down there? You want a drink of that antifreeze? Get out of there. You don't drink antifreeze. Here's a good boy. Here's a good boy. I guess we'll crawl underneath. See if we can't get it to turn over with our cheater pipe. Then we'll get the air hose out. Pull the stuff out of the valve train and we'll fire it right up. Right, Duff? What's in there? Just turn that crank over with your nose. Oh, it's got the high-speed flexi fan. Not a clutch fan. Way more gooder. And only 3 of the 4 bolts. At least it doesn't have headers. Open manifold, no exhaust. Perfect. So I put a wrench on the ring gear. I got a special tool for that. And it barely budged over. So I think to make life easier, we're gonna pull the spark plugs out. Maybe we'll even put some oil down there. Oh, are those red plug wires? Dang! Dang. This thing is surely a high performance rig. Hey, it's got something on the dipstick. I'm guessing there's some water in there. Well, none of the plugs look too rusty. They actually look like it hadn't run that long ago. According to this, should be a 350 or a 400 with a 4-barrel. So clearly this isn't the original engine because it's a 2-barrel. I guess somebody could have swapped the intake. Should we put some Zep down them cylinders? Okay. All right. Oh, it's a factory GM belt. Dang. Dang. That's a good one. You guys watch that. See if it turns. Oh. Budging, Duff. Oh, turns way good that way. Oh, no starter. Imagine that. Oh, now we're getting tight again. What wants to turn so far, Duff? Is there a giant hole in the oil pan? Side of the block, windowed. Oh, it's not going all the way around, but it's turning quite a ways and it's pretty free. So I think I'm just going to continue to work it back and forth. I'm going to mark the crank pulley so that I can tell if it's made a full revolution. Once it's made a full revolution, then we're good to go. I'm not seeing any conspicuous dents in the oil pan or windows in the side of the block, but it looks like it's only turning about quarter of a revolution, so 90 degrees. I think we'll squirt some more Zeppum in there and see what happens. Can't hurt, right? So I put some Zepp in the cylinders last night before I left. We're doing all right at the shop. We're not about to lose it, so I figured I could leave it soak for a night like everybody says I should do. So gonna go underneath and start twisting back and forth on it again. Hopefully it comes loose. How far did we get it to go, Duff? Oh man, we're getting close. About 2/3 of a full rotation. Oh, we got about 270 degrees there, Duff. All right, a little bit of Zepp, a little bit of work with our flywheel turning tool via the snap-on. That's right, I got one good tool. Well, I don't know about good, expensive. And we're making full revolutions. Let's go find a starter. Put spark plugs back in it. Wires, they're orange, they're not red. Those should be fine. Wonder if that transmission's in gear. All right, let's find a starter, Duff. So I dug through my stash. First one on the top is this Napa Power Premium Reman. So there's about a 4.5% chance that this is gonna work. Right, Todd? The right thing to do would be to test it before I put it on there, but you know, it's only 2 bolts and I like doing miserable things to myself, so stick it on there. Tech tip of the day, always make sure you're using starter bolts. You can tell it's starter bolts because it's got this knurling on the end. See, the threads don't start in the block until a ways up. Like this will sit flush with the block. Well, here, I'll show you on this starter. Wait, good thing I tried that. Those bolts will not work with this starter. Whoa, for cheese and rice. Always save your starter bolts. Probably get $1 for that at my auction when I die. There you go. So you can see how the threads don't start until a ways up in the block. So you need that knurling to seat the starter, and then it seats in the block as well. If you don't use these, the bolts snap off, and then you're miserable drilling these out in the block and probably screwing up the threads in the block, or maybe just screwing up the block. Don't screw things up. Don't ask me how I know. Don't throw old starter bolts away. I need a hoist. Anywho, it's in there. Kind of. Hey, look, battery hold down. Ooh, both ends on it. Heavy duty even. Dang.
Dang.
Is that gonna be long enough? Nope. Well, I guess we go look for a battery cable. Oh yeah. Shoelace. It's been a while since I've seen that as a repair. Not bad. Ouch! That gonna be long enough? Let's hope so. Well, we're on the subject of bolts. Save your U-bolts too. Throw them in a bucket or a bin or a box or a coffee can. Once in a while they're handy to have. Other bolts you should probably save on a small block Chevy. Like I said, starter bolts, flywheel, flex plate, torque converter bolts. They're kind of a special bolt usually. Fuel pump bolts, you can use your regular 3/8 bolt, but they should be a 3/8 bolt with a 7/16 head on them, I believe. So save those. The fine thread bolt holding the harmonic balancer and front pulley onto the crankshaft, save those. Exhaust manifold bolts, got a bunch of them. Head bolts, I don't really want to reuse those. I think that's about it. Yeah. Fan bolts, these big long 5/16 fine thread bolts, or the studs. I always like to save those. Throw that stuff in a bucket. They're handy to have once in a while. I'm done ranting about bolts. I'm gonna bolt. That's a knee slapper. And get a battery. Got ourselves a never start today. It's a 24F. So that means, I think it's for a Ford, which means it's backwards, because that's what Ford does. Backwards. Oh yeah, we got more than enough battery cable off. Where are we going to ground that to? Let's put it on this nice rusty manifold bolt. Oh, it's already loose. That's handy. You always want to clean these grounds up and powers, but sometimes you don't. Just tighten it extra tight. Then it's good contact. Click. All right. Now we just need the got no friends button. Okay, come on, Nepatod, don't fail me now. Smile for the camera. It turned though. Before I turn it over too much and get oil pressure up here, let's do the satisfying thing and blow all that crud off that engine. Been waiting a while to do this. So before anybody rips into me, here's the deal on this engine. This rig was literally in the scrap pile at the junkyard. Like this was on its way out. K5 Blazer, full removable top. That's right. She goes all the way to the windshield. There was no axles in this thing. Valve covers are off. This thing owes me nothing. So getting this thing running is purely for my own pleasure and your guys' viewing entertainment. This thing should probably be all torn down because I'm sure stuff got down into the intake and it's into the oil galleys and it's everywhere. So we're not going to do that. I'm going above and beyond by blowing it up. Hey, look, it's got, what are those? 993 heads on it. Smog heads. So I might prime it. I don't know. But let's just see if it's got compression and go from there. I'm not going to change oil on it right now, because why would I dump $20 of the oil on a $5 filter into a $100 engine that might not be any good? It might just be a core. At least we know what we got. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is crank it over and see if all the valves are going up and down, because if that's not going and we got a cam lobe wiped out, we're just going to shut her down. Or maybe we'll get it running on 5 or 6 or 7 cylinders. Let's see. I already found one that's not turning. Yeah, we got no exhaust action on number 4. Well, that sucks. At least we know why they parked it, because the number 4 exhaust is no bueno. All that work. I think it'll run on 7 though. What can we do to make sure that that cam lobe is flat? Maybe it's just Why is that? I can, oh my gosh. Is that even on? So here's the rocker arm on the number 4 valve. It's not moving. And look at how that just kind of flops around there. That, see, they should all, never mind. Never mind. Maybe that's just because that lifter ain't pumped up? Let's crank it over and see. Maybe we just gotta pump the lifters up. We might be alright. Maybe the stud's pulling out of the head. I don't know, but it's moving. Maybe that's why the valve covers were off, because somebody was messing with these. I don't know. Either way, I think we gotta pump them up. So let's pull the distributor out and get our drill back there and send some oil to it. I was bumping it over there, so hopefully we should be pretty close to top dead center on number 1. So the way I did that is I cranked the engine over until I saw the intake valve open, and then as the intake valve was closed, then shortly thereafter we should be at top dead center for number 1 cylinder, because you always want to be on the compression stroke. Otherwise, you're going to be 180 degrees off, and that's usually where I'm at. Who knows, maybe this timing was nowhere close. I mean, anybody who bought these sweet orange wires clearly knew what they were doing. Oh yeah, looks like a pretty fresh cap. So maybe they were messing around with it, trying to get it to work before they put her in the rhubarb. Yeah, looks like usually I try to have the rotor so when you're firing at number 1, it's pointed at the number 1 cylinder. And it's pretty much pointed at number 1. So here's your distributor. This gear right here runs off the camshaft. So I usually like to check that, make sure there's no damage, all the teeth are there. And as the camshaft drives that, the bottom of it's got this, looks like a screwdriver, like a flat blade at the bottom. And that's what drives your oil pump. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide that primer system in there. And basically that's the same thing as this distributor, but we'd run it with a drill, and it doesn't have this gear on it on the camshaft, so we don't have to turn the engine over. We're just turning the oil pump and priming the oil system. Let's set this somewhere where we get oil all over everything. What do you say about that, Duff? Okay, so here's our primer tool. These are basically just guides to simulate the distributor. And then this shaft simulates the drive shaft to drive the oil pump. We're going to see if we can't get oil up to this top end, or whatever fluids down in the oil pan up to the top end. It's a mystery. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Ruh-roh. And typically, you would want to have an oil gauge hooked up when you do this so you can see if you got oil pressure. Oh, there might be one in the cab. It's mechanical. Nice. And then you can see when you got oil pressure, but since we don't have any valve covers on it, we're gonna know. Maybe it's not oil pressure, it's mystery liquid pressure. Here we go. You guys get anything on your side? Oh, there we go. Little oil up there, unless that was what I drizzled. Yeah, I probably drizzled that when I was carrying the distributor over it. So I think we're gonna have to basically lube everything from the bottom. How does that go? It's the main bearings, then the cam bearings, then the lifters, through the push rods, and up to the rockers. So these are the last things to get oil. But it seems like, oh yeah, the lifters are getting, some of them are pumping up. So see that white plastic line right there? Back there by the distributor, that's your oil pressure line. Usually it should be copper. A lot of the aftermarket gauges use this terrible white plastic line that most of the drag racing tracks won't let you use. I even know that, and I don't drag race. So I know there's an aftermarket gauge in here somewhere. Goes inside the firewall, and you can tell that that's an aftermarket temp gauge as well. So I went in here and I was looking for the gauge under the dash, and then I noticed the oil all over everything, or the mystery fluid. So I think we're getting oil pressure. And there's the aftermarket gauges that somebody kind of stuck in there. Did a pretty sweet job of it too. So that's awesome. So if we do get it running, we're gonna have oil everywhere, because I'm guessing that line is pinched off or broken or kinked or whatever. Oh, right there. There it is. That's the problem. I wonder. No, that would never work, would it? I wonder if I got a new ferrule and slid that over that. I just freaking hate those gauges. See what we got. Because, yeah, that's not helping our whole scenario when it's letting oil end up here. Good news is we got oil pressure somewhere. Okay, so off of our 283 run stand that we bought, we got another Sun Pro aftermarket oil gauge. And the same crappy line, but this one didn't leak the last time I used it. So you might ask, but Mortske, what kind of line should I use? Copper. They sell copper kits, and they probably cost just about as much as the gauge, but copper's expensive. Don't ask me why. I know why. Because you get what you pay for, and it's way more good than these. Because there's nothing like going for a cruise on a Saturday afternoon, middle August, hotter than crap, wearing your flip-flops and your dicky shorts, and this line blows, and you got hot oil all over your leg, and you got to figure a way to pinch it off on the side of the road. So there you are under the dash like MacGyver, heating it up with your cigarette lighter and smashing it with your knife that's in your pocket against the bottom of the dash to try and prevent it from leaking because you got no tools. Long story short, don't buy these lines. Whoever invented these should be kicked in the nads. Rant over. Alright, we got oil pressure. Oh yeah. One thing nice about it is you can see the oil going up to the gauge. We're only getting about 15 PSI, it looks like. Yeah, we're maybe getting 20 PSI. I'd like to see like 40, 60. So that might tell us some condition of the engine. Maybe we got some bad bearings with some clearances. Or maybe it's just pure water that we're pumping. Can't imagine that would be. Well, this does look terrible. Maybe we should pull the drain plug. Oh yeah, we're about... So if that's full, we're just about 2 times over full. Whoops! And if that's water that's in there, maybe it's not going to compress. Yep, smells like Flint water. I suppose drain the pan and... It's kind of like the 10 millimeter socket theory. If there's a drain pan and you're going to drop something, that's where it's going to go. The Mortske drain pan theory. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. Oh. Yeah. Look at this. This is going to be some real Flint, Michigan water right here. Look at how gray that is. Oh, at least the flathead was clean water. That might have been why it was sticky, huh? Now's when you want to quick slam the plug in there so it just keeps the oil in there. Oh, that's chunky. Oh, Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. She thick. Just give a big old right at the end. So yeah, I probably just pumped a whole bunch of water through the engine. Whatever. Like I said, this thing was scrap anyway. It just keeps on coming. What are the odds I can spin the old Cenex off with my hand? Oh yeah. Oh, sure enough, filter is full of water. Does that mean it's a water filter and not an oil filter? That's a knee slapper. Ew, look at that. Pudding. Putting things where they don't belong, like water and oil. You guys seen enough here? Let me go get this cleaned off and see if I can find a filter. I always make sure that the O-ring is on the gasket and not stuck on the engine block, because that makes for a mess. Comment down below if you've done that before, because I have. Double up them gaskets. It doesn't double seal, it no seals. Alright. Oh my gosh, that's like a 2-gallon pan, and it's getting pretty full. She's slowing down though. So here's our next problem. We got nowhere to dump the oil in. Well, we got all kinds of places to dump the oil in, but I don't know how that's gonna go. Valve covers would help. I suppose we could stick a valve cover on it. What fun would that be? Oh! Brilliant! Brilliant! We can just dump it down the distributor hole. I'm sure you guys were saying that. Probably because you wanted to see me lean over this thing again. Ugh, milkshake. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like, alright, this time let's see if we got some oil pressure. So we're already at over 40 psi oil pressure. I think what's going on there is, I think that water was compressing, and so we weren't getting pressure with the oil. We're doing a lot better job. Still don't have any up top here, but we'll keep trying. We just lost all oil pressure. What happened there? The lifters are pumped up. I wonder if it's that the push rods from sitting exposed are full of dirt and they're not letting oil come up them. Well, 2 of them over here got oil. Oilish looking fluid anyway. Maybe we gotta turn the engine over a little bit to a different spot so that we don't have tension on all of them. Should blow that out some more. I don't want to waste that good oil we just put in there. Alright, let's give her another shot. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 on this side that show no signs of oil. Those 2 are really gushing. That one's barely a trickle of water. But on that side there's only the front 2 cylinders that aren't doing anything, so I think we'll tap it over so that another cylinder is up. We'll worry about our ignition timing later. And I'm thinking that the tension on the push rods might have something to do with it, so if we rotate it to a different spot, so some other cylinder, get some oil maybe. Seems like a good idea, right? Right. Looks like there's 2 over here that aren't getting any oil yet. But over there, got oil in all of them. It's not much in some of them, but... So I think my theory was correct. Bump it over a little bit. Keep spinning. It's not very good looking substance, but it's liquid substance. It's one of these ones that are really fighting me. Because these rocker shafts go up and down, clickety-clack, wham-bam, thank you, ma'am. The push rod should be rotating so it's not riding in the same spot all the time. I don't know, motion of the ocean causes it to do it, but so I'm trying to just kind of rotate them with my finger just a little bit to get them spinning, and then maybe that hole will line up differently so that we'll get some oil up there. I don't know. You can see just like these ones don't look too bad. They're a little milky, but man, that is just like solid milkshake back there from all that water that I mixed up in there. Whoopsies. Guess I should have drained the oil before I started. You got me there. You can hear just how dry that is. Okay. Let's pull that pusher rod out. So I'm going to take this rocker arm off and get that push rod out of there. See if there's some debris wedged up in it. Well, it had something in it of fluid type. Well, I can blow through it and see through it, so I don't know what's going on. Probably going to need to adjust these later, but yeah, that's not going to prime it. This will, maybe. Here's a stupid idea. You suppose it's plugged up in that rocker? So the hydraulic lifters are like a round cylinder, and they pump up just like a hydraulic cylinder. And that's what tensions your push rod, which is basically another hollow cylinder or tube. And it's got to push oil all the way up through that. And then there's a hole in the bottom of this rocker arm, and the oil runs out and then goes on this fancy little washer that it rocks back and forth on. And of course, that looks perfectly fine. I have no idea. What the flip? See, like it's getting oil halfway up it, but it's not like it will make it to the top for some reason. I say we just run it. It'll come to life or it won't. Alright, you should probably save a couple of these lock nuts with your hardware collection because they're kind of a different, they're not your standard 7/16 fine thread nut. These are supposed to be adjusted, but we'll save that for another day. Alright, I'm done with the priming thing. You're just gonna figure out life on your own, I guess, little buddy. You can see just how milkshakey it still is in there. So if it does run, it's going to need an oil change after running her for a bit. If we know it's going to run. So now I'm going to bump it over until I get to top dead center. Okay, so we got our distributor dropped in. New spark plugs. Yeah, that's right. Oil change spark plugs. We're going all out here. Got our fancy yellow ignition wire. We're going to give it some hot sauce and just light her off. Hope for the best. No points to clean up at least. Oh, I bet this battery won't even turn it over. She sounded pretty weak. We might have a chance. We'll just take this bird's nest out of the intake. Oh, that's an owl nest. All right. Best of luck. Slingshot engaged.
Slingshot engaged.
All right. We gotta charge the battery. Okay. We're back. New day. New used battery out of the burnout neutral drop drug van. Turn over any faster? Turn over at all? Guess not. That's better. Why is that? This one don't sound real good either. I think we got a bad connection. Weird. Who would have thought that rusty manifold bolt would need cleaning up? Breaking out the big dog. How about now? Much better. Let's give her some hot sauce, see what happens. Frickin' Napa starters. Well, I think our Napa starter is not the good stuff. Found a random starter laying around. I think it's off a TBI engine. Hopefully that works better than Napa. Who'd have thought? Thanks, Napa Todd. Well, now let's get to business. Hey, the fuel leak quit. Or it all drained back. Oh, so close. I don't think this starter's real happy either, but it's better than Napa. Fan belt's off, so we're safe. too bad. So you can get some oil pressure. Still not getting any oil of this rocker shaft, but it runs. That was fun. Didn't spend too much time messing around with it. There you have it, kids. That's how Duff Dog and Mortske get a small block Chevy running that's been sitting in the junkyard for 28 years, locked up in the scrap pile. Took a little work. I guess we know what we got. We got a small block Chevy that turns over. It's got oil pressure. Doesn't sound terrible. Was making a little bit of noise there, but that's the starter Bendix not kicking out because we got to shim it or because we got the wrong starter on it. But thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Stay tuned for more K5 Chevy Blazer action. Two-wheel drive. That's right. Remember, doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you're having fun. Is that fun? Is that fun? Do you like hearing engines rev up? Oh, that was fun. Let's twist on her some more. Just scrap iron, right? Tech tip of the day, open headers. If you're gonna rev it to the moon, pull the oil pan out so that it doesn't cover your floor. Yeah, good stuff.
How dare you!